Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Inner Conquest, the world's greatest modern metaphysics channel. I'm your host, Jacob Edens, and today we're going to be discussing Fundamentals 101 once again. Because what is mastery other than doing the basics every single time perfectly without fail? Okay. So when you are thinking about understanding metaphysics, right? Internal physics that affect external reality, it's a logical leap that can be daunting in the beginning, right? Because you're like, man, this is crazy. I've been living my entire life doing all these things, thinking that I need to do this in order to get this, which is a primary belief in what we would call second causation, right? So when you start to understand that the correlation between what you're thinking and you're feeling on an internal basis is actually being pushed outwards externally, not only does that reorient your priority or your strategy of how to operate and play the game of life, it gives you a new rule set, right? It gives you a new dimension within which you can master that leads to infinitesimally more creativity and ability to create what you want in the way that you want it, okay? So as you begin to unravel this type of stuff, right, you begin to understand how this stuff works, first from a knowledge standpoint, because if you don't have the lexicon of how to talk about this stuff, if you don't have the basic awareness of what this is or how it could work, then it's much more difficult to practice it and master it from an experiential standpoint. So as you begin to understand what the concepts are, how the laws operate and all that stuff, right? You go through a learning and an education process of understanding all of these different facets of life and reality in a way that you were never taught, because our, educational system doesn't do this. It teaches you dumb things like, how to do trigonometry. Why? So you don't have any basis other than your innate understanding of this stuff because you're doing it consciously, right? You're doing it unconsciously, and now you're just doing it consciously. So basic 101, right? What are you really doing to essentially shift what you would call reality around you through using metaphysical principles? Well, you are essentially manipulating your thought and your emotional state to match that of which the reality is you desire, okay? So if you are, for example, here's a classic example. Working with wealth and abundance type stuff, right? Say you go to a family dinner and you're at a family dinner and your goal, right, is to be stupid rich. Your goal is to have way more than enough money to do whatever you want, etc., right? And your knowingness, right, because you've read Neville, you've done a couple of different law of attraction seminars, whatever, right? You know that thinking as if you have it and thinking as if you are the person who has it and feeling as if it's already yours are the primary first causative steps to embodying that reality, okay? So say you go to a dinner and it's a fancy dinner and someone else is paying for it, right? And you're at this fancy restaurant. Everywhere around you is fancy. All these different things are working in your favor. You're getting the best food, you're getting the best service. But internally, you are thinking about how you can never afford this. This is just a lucky thing. Man, this sucks to be dependent on somebody else to have this rich, lavish experience, right? You are the problem. Your internal state is the problem, right? Because you could be in the best, most luxurious, nicest environment. But if your internal state sucks, you will always feel, no matter your external environment, like you do not have what you want. So your first principle is understanding thought and emotion. Your second principle is understanding how they reflect. Your third principle is understanding who you are. You are a thinker and a focuser. So what is the easiest way to become someone who is able to master thought and emotion? Well, a logical solution would be go practice your thoughts, go do this exercise, go do this. Wrong. You identify immediately right now as someone who is a master of thinking and using their emotions to create the reality they want. You jump to the end immediately. Now, where your discipline and your persistence comes in is your ability to re-identify with that incessantly, okay? You have something that doesn't go your way. No, I'm a master of thinking and controlling my emotions to align with that which I wish to see in the world. I didn't hear that. I heard this. This is how it is. And you decide that your emotional state and your thoughts are going to be as if it's the way you want it to be. Because who you are is a thinker and focuser, but you want to take a scientific lens of how you interact on a physical level with the world. You have to understand that you are a soul that is in a body, okay? So no matter what happens to your body, get your hands cut off, get your eyes plucked out, it's all good. You can't get hurt, okay? Your body can get hurt, and your reality can look all gnarly, right? You could be in the slums, right? But you're not poor because you're not of this world, right? That's the whole point of scripture. You're in the world, but not of it, right? If I play a video game called Trash Simulator, where the whole point of the game is to eat trash, am I really eating trash, or is my character eating trash? My character on the screen is eating trash. And the more points I get for eating trash, the more of a trash monster my guy becomes. But I'm not a trash monster. I'm playing the game. I'm the player of the game. So you always identify with your soul because your soul is eternal. It cannot be hurt, and you're good to go, okay? So when you are playing a game, you want to understand that if you can't really get hurt in the game, meaning the real you can't really get hurt, the real you can't really get touched, then everything in the game has a much lower importance level. Because the only way that this game can really hurt you is by making you think it can hurt you. So as you start to really understand that and go, oh, snap, dude, I'm just in a crazy reality where I was asleep for a long time. I'm in a game. I'm not from this place originally, which is good, right? You begin to understand that now my primary goal is to just understand the principles of the game and execute the principles perfectly every time I master the game goes the way I want it to all the time, okay? Anytime you want something in the game, the reason you want that thing in the game is because it'll make you feel better, right? If you're homeless, you're like, man, it would be really nice to have a house, right? If you don't have any money, you're like, man, if I had this money, I feel really good. So as you understand that what you're really after is the state of having that thing, you now have to break down your belief in second causation. Because the way that the game tricks you is that I need this to be in this state. I need this person to text me to be in the state of being in a relationship with this person, right? But you don't. Because by virtue of who you are, you're a thinker and a focuser, meaning that you have the ability to inhabit any state that you want right now. And as you begin to inhabit the states that you want without needing permission, without needing validation, and without asking anything outside of you to give you permission to feel and think the way you want to, you liberate yourself from second cause. Every second cause is a tyrant. Man, I want to be in my dream body. Wouldn't that be amazing to feel great all the time? But I can't do that because I have to be on my diet. If I don't eat chicken every day, I can't be feeling great. That's a tyrant. Second cause. No, you're in your dream body because you think as if you are now and you feel an attitude chronically or a mood chronically of it being exactly the way you want to. And you revel in your victory. That's how you become a conqueror. You revel in the end state, no matter what you see outside, because nothing has power over you in the world of effects. Externally, everything is in effect, created by consciousness. It's not the dictator of consciousness. Because if you believe that the external world has power over you, then it does, because your belief is a repeated thought over and over and over again until there's zero contradictory energy, right? So a way that you can really understand a belief is through understanding your own name. If your name's Kevin, somebody calls you Jake, you're like, nah, dude, my name's Kevin. There's no contradictory energy in you. It's all belief. This is who I am. I'm identified with this. You can't tell me no. So as you go through life, you want to understand that you're more likely than not identified with belief systems of you being in what I would call a non-fulfillment reality, meaning that that reality has an implication through a feeling state or a thought that it's not the way that you want it to be. So the simplest way to fix that is to think from a macro lens about the subject. Because if you get too caught up in the minutia, you're too hyper focused in on a problem, right? It's like blinders. You can't see the forest through the trees. So you have to remove some of those optics and expand your consciousness and expand your awareness to a much broader, more generalized, what you would call vibrational stance. Because as you take more broader stances, you're hypermagnetic in everything that you do. So the ability to go, no, that's not like that. This is perfectly the way I want it to be. And then just work on that core vibrational foundation of everything being really good, everything's going great. You build this ridiculously powerful foundation that has parameters, which essentially are always targeted on you getting what you want and things being the way you want it to. And anytime something comes up that's less than perfect, you just go, no, that's not a big deal. This is actually perfect. And I actually feel amazing. And this is actually the way I want it to be. And everything's always working out for me, right? And having the discipline to move yourself from a chronic pattern of non-fulfillment, right? You wake up every day, you look at the account, you're like, oh my God, I don't have any money, right? You do that every single day. Oh my God, what's going to happen in June, right? You pull yourself out of those chronic states of awareness and you replace them with these generalized, extremely positive, powerful assumptions about how everything's going your way, how you're getting everything you want, how everything just keeps working out better and better. And as you chronically focus on those become dominant, meaning that they are reinforced in a way that is easier to access than the old chronic states of non-fulfillment. And as you build that positive momentum from that generalized standpoint, you're magnetizing things that are in vibrational alignment with that, right? So that's number one, is you get your general mood, your attitude, and your state of being legit, okay? You get that legit. Why? Because you deserve to have a legit life. If you have a low self-concept and a low self-worth, you don't think you deserve it, so you got to work on that too, okay? But as you start to realize, dude, if you're playing a game, why do you want the weak character? Why do you want a character that sucks? Why do you want a character that just gets toppled over by, spending $20 at a gas station, right? You want the most badass character of all time because, number one, you're in a game. You have to understand that, and that decreases the importance level to 0. It's all good. Even if you messed up everything for the rest of your life in the worst way possible, it's not going to last forever. You're going to go back to your eternal state. You're going to be just fine. Nothing can be permanently hurt here, okay? So you decrease all the stress, you take all the worry out of it, you take all the importance level out of it, and then you go, whoa, this is the most hyper-realistic, cool game I could ever play, meaning that there's endless potentialities for what I can develop my character into. So what type of character do I think, not what anybody else thinks, do I think would be super fun to play? Like you're in a play or something, right? What would be the most fun version of myself? And the only rule is that you cannot limit yourself in thinking about that character. You're not allowed to think, well, this would be cool, but this happened, because you're believing in a second cause. So by killing the second cause, you are reaffirming that who I am is reflected, right? And how do you change who you are? By changing the way you think and by changing the way you feel as if you are that person right now, because everything's happening right now. Reverberation, reverberation, reverberation. Everything external is just a receipt print of everything that you've been thinking and feeling. So you have to de-link your need for validation from the external world to tell you how to feel and tell you how to think. Because until you de-link that, you're essentially using the external world as a crutch. As long as I got this, then I'll be okay, right? What happens? That thing gets taken away. Oh my God. See, that thing is controlling your field like a master over you, right? No gods, no masters. You have to get rid of them all, right? You have to become completely independent and sovereign and responsible for how you are being, because you're not a human doing, you're a human being. So as you evolve your ability to be the version that you want to be, independent of external circumstances, the world is a ramification of effects, meaning that it is all reflective of an internal state and processes within which you have identified with and or inhabited, right? So as you chronically be the person that you want to be, have the thing that you want to have from an internal state, that is now respected on the external and is now validated through your inner work, right? But if you try to get the process backwards and you try to say, well, if I just do this, then I'll get this, you are, through virtue of that, placing power into an external thing that doesn't have power within itself other than the power that you give it, right? So you make a god out of that thing. Well, if I don't do this every day, then this can't happen. No, this happens because you're in the state of that already happening chronically, right? You embody the state that you want and it's reflected. You don't need permission from anybody to go into a wealth state. You don't need permission from anybody to go into a health state. You don't need permission from anybody to feel like you can do whatever you want, maximum freedom. The only things that will try to control you and limit you are non-fulfillment realities, which are all based in fear, right? So when you address a fear-based reality, you want to understand what it is. False evidence appearing real, meaning that it's fake, meaning that it's the opposite of who you actually are, and that's why it feels so gross. When you are in your true nature, you're three things primarily: power, love, and wisdom. So if you feel dumb, doesn't feel very good. If you feel powerless, doesn't feel very good. If you feel like you're not chosen by anybody, doesn't feel very good. Why? Because you're not that, right? So don't put up with it. Don't see it as real. Go, no, that's transient. That's fake. That's not really me. It's not real. Everything's perfect. I am love. I am perfection. I am wisdom, right? You just reiterate core truths over and over and over again. And what that does is that wakes your consciousness back up and you go, holy smokes, I was in sleepy, scary, spooky time. But now I'm good. In the same way, if you're in a scary dream or in an unwanted dream, what do? You go, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. All right. And then if you're legit, you're now lucid dreaming. And what do you do when you lucid dream? You go, that monster's not real. Now he's a puppy. Wow, now my whole realm's populated with puppies. Very cool. So you do that with your internal realm chronically. And as you master that inner domain, as you master the realm of thought and emotion, that fourth dimensional realm, and by master, what I mean is decide what you want, think and feel as if it's already yours exclusively, dominantly, allowing that old state to loose itself from you. You are then rewarded through the fruits of your internal labor with a renewed external reality. In the same way that a snake sheds its skin, you shed that old reality, right? So your primary strategy, which is a process of prioritization, is understanding and being aware, how am I thinking and how am I feeling? Am I feeling like I don't have what I want? Shift it. I am the individual who has what he or she wants. Now, this is perfect. I am love. I am wisdom. Everything is working out great. And as you continue to double down on that new story of you being who you want to be and having what you want to have, and even if you don't have the details specifically to that, the ability to go in a general aptitude or mood is your strongest, greatest ally. Because if you just go, no, I'm love, everything's perfect. No, I'm perfect. Everything's perfect. You build out that foundational vibrational framework that is incompatible with problem non-fulfillment states. As you say, no, everything's working out for me. That affirmation of structured intent is at a vibratory resonance that cannot be compatible with problems. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Feel free to leave different comments that you would like to have videos made in the future. And the most important thing I have to say today is go conquer. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.